What's up, everybody? Trevor Sikkema here with another episode of TDN's live mock draft series. I say this every time, but I could not be more serious when I say that I am super excited for the mock draft that we have for you guys this evening, because I am joined by my good friend, Danny Kelly. You know him from all of the great work that he does over at The Ringer. This has been a long time coming. I feel like we've tried to have this in the works for a couple of weeks here, and now we finally get it going, which, Danny, actually, this is great timing because you are the first guest that we are having post Niners, Dolphins, Eagles trade. So this is a lot of pressure, but I'd say excitement more than pressure.
I know, this is big. This is huge. The whole draft is different now, right? Because it just basically throws everything else for a loop. We still don't really know who the quarterback they're going for is, but we'll see what happens.
I've heard everything. I've heard, no, you idiot, it's Justin Fields. And I've also heard, no, you idiot, it's Mac Jones. And I've also heard, no, you idiot, it's Trey Lance. And so the only common denominator in there is that I'm an idiot. So I guess that's the time of the draft calendar, is that everybody's got an opinion, but that's what makes all of this so very exciting. Man, I got to ask you before we start, because we're not going to get to him because they don't have a first round pick, but you're a Seattle Seahawks guy. So what is life like for a Seahawks fan right now with the draft coming up?
It's weird because normally they're the type of team that has, during the John Schneider era, picked like 10 times per every draft. They're very much a volume draft believer. And, in the past, even when they don't have a lot of draft capital, they'll trade back so many times that they can pick up, they start with like 3 or 4 picks and then they end up with 8 or 9 by the end of the draft. This draft, I really don't know if they're going to be able to do that, because their first pick is like in the second round.
Right.
They have like a 4. I don't know. They don't have they have 3 picks.
They have 3.
The fewest amount of, I guess, draft capital in the NFL, like by a long shot. So it's weird. It's definitely strange for a team that's been built on the draft for so many years. It's definitely weird.
I did an exercise, I think it was last week, where I just tried to do whatever I could to get Seattle as many picks to draft as many good players as possible. Yeah. And I traded with the Vikings, who have a bunch of picks. I traded with Baltimore, who has like 4 first-round picks, 4 fourth-round picks, something like 3 or 4, something like that. And I actually didn't hate the haul. So look, John Schneider, draftnetwork.com. You can check it out. If you need any consulting, just hit me up. The DMs are open. All right, so let's get into this first round mock draft. We won't let the people wait any longer. Danny, typically the way we do this is one of us goes with the odd numbered teams and one of us goes with the even numbered teams. I don't know. Do you have a preference? I can do either. Do you have a preference which way?
No, I'll go with the odds since the 49ers are third, and I want to. That's the funnest pick in this whole draft, I think.
It is. Okay, so we have Zach Cohen producing tonight. He's on the other side of the glass wall, the metaphorical glass wall, if you will. So Zach, if you're ready, we could pull up the mock draft machine. The only goal I have in this mock is I want to find a good place for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, because I feel like I talk about him like, oh yeah, of course the NFL is going to think this guy's a top 20 pick, like a top 20 prospect, and then end of the draft comes around and I'm like, oh crap, I didn't get him in the first round, and I just know that's not going to happen. So that's my personal challenge. If you want to pick him, obviously you have free reign to pick him, but my personal challenge is a mock drafter, so I'm going to try to find a good spot for him. So
I love that guy.
You are up with number 1 overall because you are picking for the odds. So you're starting here with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, number 1 overall. I don't think there's a real reason to throw this whole thing for a loop and make something up. It feels like this is the pick, and nothing that I've seen so far would indicate that it's not going to be. So, yeah, Trevor Lawrence, number 1.
Danny, come on, man. We need ratings. You got to do crazy. You got to crazy stuff.
You want the clicks. Just put some clicks.
Just put Mac Jones at number 1.
Oh, man. I don't want to burn this whole thing down. Yeah.
Okay. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Even Urban Meyer could not hide the fact that it was your like, hey, you're drafting Trevor Lawrence, and he's like, we'll let the owner make the pick, but it's obviously going to be Trevor Lawrence. So no debating there. I honestly think that there's no debate here at number 2. I think that it's going to be Zach Wilson. And the thing that gives this away for me, I know it's kind of speculation season. You're just trying to pick up whichever helpful hints you possibly can. But I think a pretty concrete hint was when the report came out after the Niners moved up to 3 that they also contacted the Atlanta Falcons at 4 and the Cincinnati Bengals at 5. if there was a chance for them to get up to number 2, they would have at least contacted the Jets. Rabbit Saleh's in the building. Mike LaFleur is in the building. Like, they obviously know these guys really well. And they didn't even talk to him. They didn't even, there was no conversation about a potential trade. And so that tells me that they were just like, yeah, I mean, we're picking Zach Wilson. We're not trading this. So we'll go with Zach Wilson here at number 2.
I like it. Man, so this leaves me with the choice of the draft here.
Yes.
Are we supposed to be going for what we would do here, or what we think is going to happen? What mindset do I need to be in here?
I think, as it is now the month of April, I feel as though we should go more towards what we think will happen. I mean, like, as things kind of go here, like, we'll get into the flavor of, obviously you can throw guys that you really like, because you're the guest. So I'd love to hear some players that you're higher on anyways. So feel free to throw out some guys that you really like throughout this draft process. But I will normally mock how I think it's going to happen at this point.
Okay. All right. With that in mind, so I've gone back and forth on this over the last week, and I don't know where I land. It feels too obvious that they're going with Mac Jones. Like, obvious in the sense that, like, everyone is saying this now and everyone is reporting it.
Sure.
It feels like it's too much. So I'm going to go with a curveball, and I'm going to go with Trey Lance.
Okay.
Because, and here's why. He was the first guy that several well-known draft, like Lance Zierlein, threw him out immediately as the guy. And I've seen that kind of like behind the scenes a little bit early on. And then everything with the Mac Jones thing picked up steam. And I'm thinking, like, this is a smokescreen. I think it's actually going to be Trey Lance. If it was me, I have Justin Fields ranked higher. I have him as my number 2 overall prospect, only behind Lawrence. So if it was me drafting, I would go with Fields here, but I really like Lance also. And honestly, for the record, I like Mac Jones too, but I think if the 49ers are going to trade two future firsts, come up here and go for the gusto at the quarterback position, I think it's going to be for a guy with a dynamic skill set like this.
I agree.
And I just can't get past the idea that they would, do this really, really aggressive move for a quarterback that fits sort of the mold of Mac Jones. So, yeah, I'm going with Trey Lance. I think if it were me, I would go Fields, but I think they're going to like Lance's skill set. He comes for an offense that's run heavy, a lot of boot action, use him in the rushing game to like create, mismatches, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think his upside is through the roof. And if you believe everything they say about Jimmy Garoppolo staying for this year, then it makes sense to have him sit behind Garoppolo for year one and kind of learn the ropes. And then there you go.
We see the situation exactly the same. If I was making the pick, I'd be making it with Justin Fields. I mean, I wouldn't even think twice about it. I think that he's got the higher ceiling, and especially knowing that you traded 2 extra first-round picks to get to this point. And that's a really great point that you made, and that's the one that I've thought about as well since this trade went down. Are you trading 3 first-round picks for Mac Jones? I don't think you are, and so I think that you're really trying to swing for the fences with either Justin Fields or Trey Lance, because I think they give you the higher ceiling. They've got more mobility to them. I think they got more powerful arms. And we'll probably talk about this a little bit more when Mac Jones gets off the board, but I like Mac. I'm with you. Like, Mac is fine. Like, I think that Mac is going to be a starting QB in the NFL, but there's a difference between spending, say, pick number 15 in the draft on Mac Jones and spending 3 first-round picks on Mac Jones to pick him at number 3. There's a big difference there. So I'm with you. All right, so we're going Trey Lance at number 3. That puts me up with the Falcons at number 4. I think this is a prime spot for them to trade down. People who have watched this show in previous episodes know that I'm big on them trading down. I like the idea of new general manager Terry Fontenot getting some extra draft ammunition over the next couple of years to be able to navigate however they want, and that they're in a great spot to be able to do so. But for fun, with Kyle Pitts just putting up an absolute freak of a pro day that he had, we're going to combine that offense with the talents of Kyle Pitts. I really do think that they're probably going to go all in on Matt Ryan. I just don't think a quarterback's going to be on the board. I don't. Not that it wouldn't be a good move. I could objectively see it and be like, okay, I get what they're doing. They're going to get their guy. They're not going to pick in the top 5 for a while, at least they hope. But I don't think first-time head coach Arthur Smith is going to do that. I don't think first-time head coach, first-time GM are going to spend the number 4 overall pick on a guy who's hopefully not going to see the field for you for 2 years. I just don't see that happening,
right.
you know? So
I'm 100% in lockstep with you. I think I said this on the Ringer pod today that I think this pick is Pitts. I do too. I think Pitts is he's such a unicorn.
Yeah.
And he's so dynamic, and going into that Arthur Smith offense too, like they like to use the tight end position. They like to do
no doubt
12 personnel, you know,
right.
it's a scheme fit too. So man, can you imagine him with Ridley and Julio and like in that offense, they could hit the ground running.
Yep.
They can be good in year one. I'm with you. Like the quarterback, or sorry, the new coach and the new front office thing, I think is a big deal here, because like, I don't know, man, if you come in and the first thing you do is pick a guy that's not going to start for 2 years at number 4,
see it. I can't see
that doesn't seem like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like something that you'd want to do, because you could be out of here in 2 years. Mm-hmm. So if you do really poorly. So yeah, I think this is a Pitts. I think Pitts is going right here.
No offense in the NFL over the last 2 years ran heavy personnel more, multi-tight end sense than the one that Arthur Smith was orchestrating. Now, of course, it's not always a 1-for-1 guy comes from one system, exactly implements it in the other, but I do think that that's something that he loves. And so I think the Kyle Pitts would be a fun one. So you are up now with the Cincinnati Bengals, and Lord have mercy, has the debate really caught fire, because I thought for the long time it was just going to be Penei Sewell, and I don't know if we're bored here or there's a revelation but I'm
probably the case. Yeah,
I'm seeing a lot of Bengals fans talking about Jamar Chase. I can't get with it, but if you can, tell me about it.
Okay, I'm giving him Chase here. I'm going for it.
Okay,
I think because of the depth of the tackle position in this class, and just overall the offensive line position in this class, that it makes sense for them to go for go for number 1, the guy who he had like this chemistry already built in with.
Sure.
Extreme playmaker, touchdown maker. And then obviously he ran, I think, was anyone expecting him to run in the 4.3s? I know that it's a pro day and I know that it's on like downhill probably or whatever, but
I think Jamar Chase is a high 4.4s guy, and that's fine.
Great.
That's who cares. My takeaway from the pro day cycle this year is that if you didn't run a 4.39, you suck. Like you're just
doing?
Slow, because every number is just 4.39, as if being able to say that they ran in the 4.3s is the big thing.
Bizarre.
But I mean, Chase's time was awesome, obviously, but I think this is a high 4.4s guy, and that's obviously what we see on tape. I think it's totally fine.
And I think that's fine. And that's not really different than what we see on tape. What he is a power. He's like a power forward, right? He just,
sure.
For the fact that he's not even that big, he just plays really strong. Mm-hmm. You know, he manhandles opponents, really good at the catch point, all that stuff. I think the key is developing a support system around Joe Burrow. Obviously, offensive line is huge. But I mean, getting an elite pass catcher. We saw what happened when Stephon Diggs went over to the Bills.
No doubt.
Yeah. I think having an elite pass catching group is only going to help Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
So I think they can still invest in offensive line a little bit later.
Yeah. I mean, you know, look, I think that if you're adding Jamar Chase, you are objectively making your offense better. This would in no way be a bad pick. I would go with Penei Sewell because I'm not just looking at it from this class's perspective. I would tell you that I don't know how often you would even get the chance to pick a player like Penei Sewell at offensive tackle. For as good as Jamar Chase is, I feel like there will always be opportunities over the next couple of years to get a wide receiver that you love who can really impact your offense. Now, would it be the same guy that Joe Burrow broke records with at LSU? No, of course not. But I'm looking at from the perspective of I think that Penei Sewell is pretty special, and I don't believe that Riley Reeves should sway them from taking Penei Sewell.
Well, yeah.
You know, if you want to make the best 2021 team, though, I get the argument, because then you draft Jamar Chase, you go get a really nice interior offensive lineman at the top of the second round. There you go. Okay, the team is better then, but I'm thinking more of long-term with Penei Sewell, but I definitely get the Jamar.
That's fair. Yeah, that's definitely fair.
Let's talk about number 6, the Miami Dolphins. they could certainly use a wide receiver. There's a
Mm.
reason why they moved back up from number 12. And I think it was to go get a pass catcher. And I think it was to go get one of those two that just came off the board. So they're probably not too happy about that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Jalen Waddle here. It was only a 1-year deal with Will Fuller, who I like, but it just doesn't seem like he's solidified there. I hope that he has a great year and actually sticks around. But to your point, almost what we just talked about with Joe Burrow, they could also go offensive line. I think that Penei Sewell is certainly an option here as well. But I think they moved up for a pass catcher, and I think that they would want to come away with one at number 6. And so Waddle, he's just got the rare explosiveness. He's got those traits that you can't teach. He's got that elite skill even to it. So you putting him in an offense, getting him back with Tua Tagovailoa, I think that you're just stacking the offense, and you're just hoping you can get a lot of weapons in front of them.
I like that. I like that a lot. Now we're to the Lions, and I don't know what direction they're going to go. I think the easiest thing to do here really is to give them a guy that's going to bite a kneecap off, and that's Penei Sewell. You know what I mean? Like this administration, like the new regime there or whatever, is big time football guys. If you know what I mean, like big time football guys. They wanted to dominate in the trenches. They want to do old school football. So I think the first pick being like a receiver just doesn't really feel right to me. So I'm not going to go with Devontae Smith here. I'm going with
Devontae Smith too. This he's for as much as I think that Detroit is going to want to try to get as much talent as they can in the building. Devontae Smith is about 6 feet, 6'1", 170 pounds. I don't know if that's a Dan Campbell guy.
Exactly. And I think, basically everything you just said about Sewell. Totally applies here. I think, solidify that offensive line for the next 10 years. You're coming in, he's big, physical, athletic, has all the traits that you want. And, he could, whether he starts out on the right or left, I don't know if it even matters because you get so many pass rushers coming off the right now.
I agree.
It's like almost doesn't even matter what side he starts. So, that gives them, a good set of offensive tackles to work around. And that certainly helps Jared Goff, who I don't have high hopes for this season. You got to get him some support. And so I think this is a good pick for them and kind of sets the tone.
No, I'm totally with you. If Devontae Smith's the only guy left on the board, I'd probably pick Penei Sewell over him as well. I know that Lions fans would probably be like, yo, Justin Fields is right there, but I'm not so sure. I don't know if they would pick Justin Fields. Maybe they would. I'm not discounting it, but that would
I wouldn't
be
either.
I
wouldn't either.
I mean, Justin Fields is absolutely going to number 8. When the trade came down with the Niners moving up to 3, I thought almost like a collateral loser of the trade was the Carolina Panthers, because then they no longer hold their destiny. They can't trade up to 2 because the New York Jets aren't moving off from number 2. They want Zach Wilson. They now can't trade to number 3 because the Niners just did that. And they can't trade to number 4 because the Falcons are in the division. The Falcons aren't going to want to hand them their next franchise quarterback. So I think they're in a tough spot here. But the more we learn about it, I don't know if it's a smokescreen or not, but whatever happens, if Justin Fields somehow makes it to them at number 8, they're huge winners. They're huge winners of that Niners trade. So sure. I mean, even if it's Trey Lance, if they get themselves, you could flip-flop it. If Justin Fields goes 3 and Trey Lance makes it to 8, that's fantastic for Carolina. So we're going Justin Fields here.
Love it. Love that pick. And I like that fit for him, going into the offense with Joe Brady.
Yeah.
Gives him a good chance. They got some good skill players there.
Yep.
Seems like they're building for the long term. Obviously, they spent every draft pick last year on defense. So now they can kind of start to look at the offense. So this will be fun. I like this. I'm going with Mac Jones for the Broncos because I do think he has the talent to be a starter early in his career. I think the Broncos, the 49ers would probably be the best fit for him. I think, obviously, just because they have, the coach there. I love Shanahan. I love the skill players they have. Very good offensive line. But the Broncos honestly have a very good skill position group too. Noah Fant, Judy, Cortland Sutton's going back. KJ Hamler. It's somewhat reminiscent of what Mac Jones was used to, with that offense at Alabama.
Right.
So I don't know for sure if they'd be high enough on him to do this, but everything we're hearing based on all this 49er stuff is that the NFL is much higher on Mac Jones than maybe the consensus draft Twitter or whatever you want to call it is right now. So I'm guessing he's not going to get out of the top 10. And so I'm going Mac Jones with Broncos.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe. Top 10, top 12, whatever it is. And even beyond just those receivers that you named, the tight ends too, Albert Okwuegbunam, Noah Fant, like those are those guys there. And the offensive line, I mean, they have some guys that they like, Garrett Bowles on the left. They hope Jawan James on the right. They've got Dalton Risner. You hope Lloyd Cushenberry has a bounce back year. And so it's like everything's kind of set up there for them. And they want to get vertical with the offense. Mac Jones throws a pretty deep ball. So, I mean, yeah, I agree. I think that this would be a decent fit. Broncos fans are probably going to hate it because every fan base who I've ever given Mac Jones to hates it. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. Broncos have one of the best rosters in the league outside of QB is what Daniel said in the chat. And I mean, like, I like the Broncos. I thought they did a great job in free agency, and they've got a nice up-and-coming offense. So Dallas Cowboys at number 10. I'm going to go Patrick Surtain here. I won't get too spicy and pick J.C. Horn, even though I know there are a lot of Cowboys fans who are clamoring for J.C. Horn as their CB1. I just think they need a really reliable guy on the outside. And I think J.C. Horn can give you the higher ceiling if you're just playing man coverage a lot, because that's the mentality he's got. I really love a lot of his tape, but especially with Trayvon Diggs being your CB1 right now on the outside, like you need to have a player who is more reliable. You've got to be able to draft a corner that you're not going to have worries with, because if you draft JC and either you're not putting him in the right situation to succeed, you're not letting him get the most out of his skill sets, or even it just takes him longer to acclimate to playing one-on-one versus NFL receivers, then all of a sudden you might have yourselves two starting cornerbacks that are lower level at covering, and you ain't gonna beat anybody if you don't have two starting corners who can't play. So we're gonna go with Patrick Surtain.
I love that. I think that's a smart pick. It's kind of a no-brainer for me. I'm on the Giants, and this one I think is kind of hard because obviously they love the hog mollies.
They do love the hog mollies.
Can I throw a defensive tackle in here? Probably not. So this is tough because I think there's a few different guys that I'm going to go with an edge rusher here because I think that that's the style that they're going to want to do.
Okay.
Gettleman is always like sort of just loved like building through the trenches. It feels like I'm going to go. I know that he has the medical concerns, but I'm going with Jalen Phillips. I think after what he did at his pro day, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was very, very impressive.
Yeah.
Super athletic. He was very productive. I'm sure teams probably won't forget that he was like the number one recruit in the country when he went into college.
Right.
There are certainly concerns with the injuries that he's gone through and the fact that he retired from football briefly. But I mean, the athleticism, the length, the size, the explosiveness, all that stuff, I think like they're just going to see this guy and they won't be able to pass him up. So, man, I don't know if he's going to go this high, but I think I can see the Giants doing this.
Yeah, Giants fans are going to be mad at you in the chat for it because they were mad at me when I had Jalen Phillips as their number one pick at number 11 when I did a 7-round mock for them. But
noted.
I mean, like I get that you have the concerns, like the medical concerns are real, and like Danny just said, I don't know if he goes this high, but if the Giants want a pass rusher, he is not even close the best one to choose. So, like, if you background him and you go, okay, like, he's all good, this is the best pass rusher in the class. Not close to me. He can do everything you want to do. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the strength. He can rush from a 3-point to 2-point, plenty of different alignments. He did it all at Miami, and he did it all at a dominant level as the season went on. So, I get it, man. I get it. So, if they want to go with edge, that's the one you do at 11. That's the thing. If you're going edge, now, okay, people are going to be like, oh, don't pigeonhole yourself. Yes, I get it. But if they want to draft edge, this is the one that's worth it at 11, not anybody else in the class. If you don't want to go edge, or you want to trade down, or you want to go somewhere else, that's a different conversation. But if you're going edge, it's going to be Jalen.
Well, you know they're not trading down.
Lord knows they're not trading down. Lord knows they're not trading down.
I don't think Gettleman ever has.
Never. So
not one time.
So there's a funny... And by funny, I mean very innovative that I love part about our mock draft machine where we have little bits of kind of like background realism that we put into our trades. So like if you were a team trying to trade with a team in the division, most of the time, it just will not let it go through. There is a stipulation that we have where if you are the Giants or if you were trying to trade up to the Giants, it's not going to work.
I love that.
That's
perfect.
All right, Philadelphia Eagles at number 12. Devontae Smith is still on the board here, and I think that that's the right pick for him.
It would be doing backflips if this was the case, I feel like.
I think so too. And, J.C. Horn is very alluring here. Micah Parsons could even be very alluring here, but I just don't think that it's going to happen at number 12. I think they're going to go offense. I think they have to. And I think that with Devontae Smith on the board, this makes it a no-brainer for him. So we're going to go Smith at 12 to the Eagles.
I like this. This is another one that just, I think, is a perfect fit. The Eagles definitely need more firepower. They need his style of receiver, I think, on offense.
Yes. And by that, you mean reliable.
Yeah, that especially, but I also just like his ability. Like, he could be a Z, he could be an X, he could play in the slot, but
he can.
I'm not sure I trust. I love Jalen Reagor. I still have high hopes for Reagor going forward, but I don't know if he's necessarily like a true number one. I think Smith has the ability to do that, and that would I think that would open up things for Reagor.
Totally.
Help him have a better second season. So
yeah,
I like that pick a lot. This one, so the Chargers, I think the big thing is, and I know I'm kind of like talking out of both sides of my mouth because I didn't give the Bengals an offensive lineman, but I think I think the Chargers need an offensive lineman.
So you're going with Terrace Marshall, obviously, another LSU wide. No, I'm just kidding.
That would be fun. But no, I'm going to go with.
If only there was a good Oregon wide receiver who you could just go, the chemistry.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm going to go. I'm actually surprised that Slater's still on the board here. Rashawn Slater.
Yeah, this is
Northwestern.
Fantastic.
I feel like he's in the top tier of tackles for me. I mean, he could play probably any position, honestly, on the offensive line, no matter what depending on what they want to do with him. But he has the ability, I think, to be a left tackle, and getting a guy like that in on the offensive line help shore it up, help protect Herbert in year 2, and hopefully they'll take making a big jump in year 2 too, because he kind of trailed off at the end there. Things, didn't go like real smoothly down the stretch for the Chargers offense. So I think they really need to continue to build up the support group there, support system.
I mean, I love that. I think that it's perfect. They did a really good job of investing a lot in the offensive line. They got Matt Filer. They got Corey Linsley. They obviously have Brian Bulaga as well. So, I mean, if you plug Slater in there, you're really only looking at one other spot that you didn't just straight up upgrade this past offseason, which is a job well done, I think, by them, because that was their most important goal.
Absolutely.
The Minnesota Vikings at 14. Oh, Elijah Vera Tucker just makes so much sense. I know Vikings fans are probably sick of it, but it's great because they have an interior offensive line need. They might have a tackle need in the near future. Michael Scholes talking about a trade down. Okay, but who could trade down? Who do we have? I wouldn't be opposed to the trade down, but the quarterbacks aren't on the board. I don't think anybody's trading up for a linebacker with Parsons. I guess Arizona could flip up 2 spots to make sure they get J.C. Horn if they didn't want the Patriots to take him.
Yeah, I could see it, but I don't know.
I still just think it's Elijah Vera Tucker. I know Mike. I know Michael. Michael doesn't want that. Michael's in the chat and he wants Kwity Paye. So Michael, in your mock, you could have just Kwity Paye here because I think that is a realistic possibility. But we also know that Spielman doesn't pick defensive linemen or defensive ends very high. That's just not what he does. So I'm going to go interior offensive line. We'll go Elijah Vera Tucker here. Keep it a little bit realistic.
I like that. I mean, it's a good solid pick, right? It's not flashy, but it makes their offense better. I'm a little bummed I have the Patriots because I don't know what the hell they're going to do.
You picked the odds, man.
I know. I shouldn't have.
For you.
This is my fault. 100% my fault. So here's the thing. I've given them Micah Parsons before in mock drafts, and generally speaking, I think Patriots fans have liked that. So I'm going with Parsons again.
He's great.
I think there's some question marks, I guess, about the off-field stuff, but very talented guy, very versatile. He fits that Belichick linebacker mold, I think, because he's got the size, he's got the athleticism, the versatility to do different things. So, I don't know what's going on off field with that, but I think talent wise and athleticism wise, he's good enough to go in the top 15 clearly. So I'm going to go with him here with the Patriots.
I like that. I mean, the idea of Donta Hightower coming back, and you've got Donta Hightower and Micah Parsons there at the linebacker level for you. You'd be able to use those guys like Swiss Army knives. It feels like. I mean, that's an awesome pairing there. 16 with the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, it couldn't be any more perfect. J.C. Horn is the exact kind of corner that Vance Joseph can look at and say, "Go guard that guy." every single week. He will
Yeah.
he will tell him on defense to just go guard that wide receiver, and he'll just go, okay, coach. And that's exactly what JC Horn needs. He covered everybody in the SEC. He covered wide receiver ones throughout this entire year, whether it was, guys in the slot, guys on the outside, guys who were moving across the line of scrimmage in the pre-snap, whatever it was, JC Horn was adjusting to it, and he was covering them, and he was doing them very well. So they lose out on Patrick Peterson. They've added a lot of firepower. I mean, they added J.J. Watt. They traded for Rodney Hudson. I'm forgetting one other main one that it's probably AJ Green. Okay, that people. I was going to say people were going to yell at me. Maybe people won't yell at me too much for AJ Green. But adding J.C. Horn, I think it's perfect for them. There is a chance now that I think the Cardinals, even though they only have 5 draft picks, I believe in this draft, they could still get aggressive and make sure that they trade up a little bit to go get the corner they need, because they're clearly going all in for this year. So get JC Horn however you can, but they end up getting him right here at 16.
Yeah, love that. I think that's a smart pick. Perfect for them. It feels like my favorite players always go to the NFC West for some reason. So this makes a lot of sense too. It's like the NFC West is just like this black hole for talent. And I mean, like, they pull people in, not like they go there to die or whatever.
Well, I mean,
some do maybe, but I'm just thinking of like Seahawks great Jerry Rice.
Oh, wow. All right,
Seahawks great Edgerrin James.
Oh, wow. Seahawks great Edgerrin James.
All right, so here we got the Raiders. This one's tough because, I mean, they have a lot of needs, obviously. Mm-hmm. Offensive line is a need now that they've completely gutted that whole team, it feels like, or that whole unit. I feel like they still need to add edge. And
I mean,
forgetting if
I
they
think
did any big moves in free agency for that. I don't think they did.
Hitting the depth chart really quick. Make sure we get the reminders.
I don't see any. They signed Yannick Ngakoue, but I don't know if that's necessarily like gonna be the final thing they do at that position. I think they could turn it in. They could basically turn it from a huge disaster, or at least vulnerability, into a big strength here by picking an edge player. And there's a few here that I really like. I think I'm going to go with Kwity Paye. Do you think he's going to go this high? I think the athleticism, size, everything. I
mean, I would tell you that he's a back end of the first round guy. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be in the late teens or in the mid 20s, but like, I think that this is probably the beginning of when we would see Kwity Paye go.
Like a run on it. Yeah. And I considered Azeez Ojulari for Georgia. I considered even putting Jason Oweh up there.
Man, dude's testing was nuts,
insane. But I think just like, I don't know, Paye feels like a Gruden guy, just like big, physical, fast. Mayock too. I think, you know what I mean? Like, just
he definitely feels like a Mayock guy, because I feel like their early drafts, they were prioritizing a lot of guys who were like seniors, experienced, like not super raw players. Yeah. Then again, John Gruden could just watch Jason Oweh run and be like, draft that guy. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah. I would not be surprised at all if this was not the pick. But if I'm doing it, if I'm trying to make the Raiders defensive line better, I think this makes sense.
All right. So we're going Kwity Paye.
Yeah.
Oh, can I do it here? Can I get it? Can I do Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah? Is this a thing?
Do it.
Can I do it this at 18? Wait, scroll down. Who do we get for the Dolphins? Zach is screaming yes on the other side. He's a Dolphins fan.
Oh,
all right,
nice.
Jalen Waddle. Okay, we're going with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I like this fit here because when you think about what this regime drafted Minkah Fitzpatrick to do, and the reason why Minkah was super pissed off, it was because they were having Minkah play much towards the linebacker level, up towards the line of scrimmage, that kind of slot work. That's not what Minkah wanted to do. And in fact, since being traded over to the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's clearly showed his value on the back end as a free safety. Owusu-Koramoah feels like that exact player they wanted Minkah Fitzpatrick to be. A big slot guy, can be a pseudo linebacker, can play off of the edge, all those kinds of things. And so that's why I really like this landing spot for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. So we're going to do that. I did what I said I was going to do. I found a good spot for him, and it was in the top 20. Look at that.
I love it. That's good. Now, this is tough. I feel like this is a tough one for me. For whatever reason, I can't quite figure out what Washington would do or want to do here. If you look at some of their past drafts, it'd probably be defensive linemen again, which would just be hilarious. But let's see here. tackle. They need tackles.
They definitely do. Jenkins has experience at left tackle, although he's played the last 2 years at right tackle. So
yeah,
it would still be a little bit of a projection because they have Morgan Moses on the right side.
I think I'm going to go with Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech.
There we go. That's a good
for me for them. I think just because, obviously, they lost their left tackle, Trent Williams, a couple of years ago or last year. I can't remember when it was. And, they need to, like, whatever happens with quarterback going forward, they're going to need a guy there. And I love Darrisaw. I've seen him falling a little bit in mock drafts lately for whatever reason. So maybe the NFL's maybe not quite as high on him. I'm not sure, but I really like him. I think he's a really good player, really athletic. And I think this will be a good fit for him.
He is, the way he moves for a player his size is super rare. And I think that there are times when he either gets a little bit out of control or he knows he's so talented that he just doesn't have to give 100% effort. And I'm not saying effort concerns. There's just times on tape where I feel like he can coast because he's that good. And I think that if you get Darrisaw a mean streak in the NFL, if you give him a real mean streak, I think that he could be phenomenal. Apparently Kyle hated my Owusu Koramoah pick as our resident Dolphins fan, but you know what, Kyle? You're not doing this, Mom. So take that.
Is he low on him? Or what's the deal?
Maybe he just didn't. Man. Maybe he just didn't want him for the Dolphins. Maybe he would have wanted somebody else. Kyle, I didn't see because I couldn't scroll down. If there was a player on the board that you really wanted at 18, or maybe you just hate Owusu Koramoah, please let me know. We got Chicago up now at number 20. I think. People. Yeah, sure, Bateman in theory, because we think the wide receiver room is going to look a lot different next year, but everything is going to look a lot different next year if you don't upgrade the offensive line. So I think you got to just take the best offensive lineman that there is here, and I think that you got to go get Tevin Jenkins. So
I've been doing this a lot, I feel like, with them. I think this is the perfect fit.
I think that this is what you got to do here. The other positions might be tempting, but I feel like their offensive line was so bad, you're not even giving yourself a chance if you don't upgrade it here. So we'll go Tevin Jenkins 20 to Chicago.
All right, I like that. Okay. Colts. So they are in need of a left tackle, right? Did they sign a left tackle in free agency? I don't remember. I know that their long-term guy retired over the offseason.
Costanzo retired.
Costanzo, yeah.
Oh, they signed Sam Tevi, but Sam Tevi wasn't really good in Las Vegas. So not Las Vegas, Los Angeles.
I think one player who I've been connecting to the Colts for some reason, I'm not sure why I keep gravitating to this, but is Jason Owe from Penn State. I know that coming off a season with 0 sacks, that is a massive red flag. I don't know how many pass rushers have gone in the first round that have 0 sacks the season before. Maybe never, but I don't know how many guys have run 4.3s at that size. You know what I mean?
None.
So
it's unbelievable.
And it was a shortened season. It was a weird year. He was still productive when it comes to getting pressure.
Right.
I don't know for sure. I don't have him quite this high on my board, but I think NFL teams are going to have a hard time being we'll let this guy fall. We'll let someone else take him because he's insanely athletic.
Right.
He's agile. So I don't know if this feels like a reach to you guys, but I'm going with Jason Owe.
Okay. All right. Look, it has been a struggle for me to try to find where he's going to go in the first round because I agree with you. Off of that testing alone, I think the NFL is going to take a chance on him. I just don't know what team does it. You could say, hey, you'd be a good pick for the Cleveland Browns at 26 or the Ravens at 27. And I totally agree with you. He could be. Does he last to the Ravens or the Browns? I don't really know. There's a chance that another team could really surprise us and take a guy who they might consider best player available. So here it's the Colts, 22, Titans on the clock now. And he just has to be Rashad Bateman, right? If you go and watch Rashad Bateman's 2019 tape, you're watching a first-round wide receiver. Now, 2020, he didn't look like the same guy, but it was reported, I think he did the interview with the PFF podcast guys where he said that he had COVID during the year and he lost weight and he just lost a step. And you clearly saw that in his tape. I remember watching his 2020 tape and I'm like, man, I don't see it. I just don't see it with this guy. And I remember my co-host at Locked On NFL Draft, Ben Solak, he was super big on Rashad Bateman going into the year. And I was like, you know what? Let me watch 2019 tape. dude's got the juice in 2019. And if you get that back, if he's obviously a lot more healthy than he was in the 2020 season, you get that 2019 Bateman, that's a first-round player. And so putting him next to A.J. Brown, especially with all they lost Jonnu Smith, they lost Corey Davis, they don't have Adam Humphries anymore. You get those two guys working, and I think he can step in right away for you.
I love this. Another guy who ran 4.39 at the pro.
But yes, you're right, correct. Just like
under 4.4.
Just like I did in the backyard yesterday. Hand time. Scout was there, so it was a scout's time. He had me on a 4.39.
I will say I was very surprised to hear that he was 190, but then it started coming out, like you said, that he's lost weight because of the COVID that he had to go through, and it was like an extended thing. So I don't think we need to dock him for that, because I think he played in 2019. To me, he looked bigger and he looked physical.
I agree 100%. And so with him being at 190, I think it was probably a combination of, he said that he lost a little bit of weight. He was probably keeping it down so he could test as well as he possibly could. I think he plays in the league about at 200. That's what I think that he's going to play at.
And that's fine. I think that's good for him.
Totally.
He can play inside, outside. I really like Bateman. So that's a great pick. Jets. We're after the Jets. So I gave him quarterback already.
Yep,
so
Zach Wilson. Good. We got Zach Wilson.
Whew. Corner, edge.
Yeah, I mean, like they signed Shaq Lawson. They signed Carl Lawson, but I mean, this team has ignored edge for so long. They could absolutely double dip. Man, I can't talk tonight at the edge rush position and make themselves a lot better there. Greg Newsom could also be on the board.
Who do you think Robert Saleh likes of this group? Do you think do you think he would be a Azeez Ojulari guy? I kind of feel like he would be.
He would be if they'd want him to play like the D Ford role, so he'd be a little bit more of a stand-up guy because he's a smaller size, but I feel like that clearly works. Like that's clearly worked for him.
I know he didn't test well, but I still think he's a first-round pick. I'm gonna go with Azeez Ojulari here.
Okay, because you could let Lawson play like the Nick Bosa role. You could let Azeez Ojulari play the stand-up with D Ford. Again, Ben's really convinced me of that. The two different roles that Saleh has had on his defense, and I think that those actually line up really well if you get these two guys on opposite sides. So I think that works really well there. Steelers at 24.
You gonna go running back here?
No, I can't. The Steelers
do
themselves
in the second. Yeah,
didn't let me. They won't let me do it. They've got too many holes in the offensive line. They have an immediate left tackle. Please, not a running back to the Steelers.
Exactly what I just said. Yeah, they'll do it in the second round.
I am going to go with Liam Eichenberg because they have a hole. They have a hole at left tackle, and Eichenberg, for as somewhat limited athletically as I believe he is sound. He is the kind of player who I don't think is going to feel overwhelmed. You could play Liam Eichenberg in week 1, and I don't think it's going to look like a fish out of water as a guy who just doesn't know what's going on, can't acclimate to NFL speed. I think that his technique, his positioning, his footwork, all of that is so solid with him, and he looks so in control at all times. There's no panic, and I don't think that that's going to change in the NFL. So this is a player that you can that doesn't have a ton of projection to him. I think it's going to be what you see is what you get, and you get a really nice left tackle prospect. Okay, sure, but you might lose the speed battle to some of the top tier speed rushers in the NFL. That's fine. You need a guy that you could play out there 60 snaps a game from week 1, and I think that that's Eichenberg for you, especially on a team that's bringing back Ben Roethlisberger, bringing back Juju Smith-Schuster. They're clearly trying to make a run in 2021. This is a guy you need to go get.
Yep, I love that. I'm into it. Let's see here. Jaguars, obviously, getting Trevor Lawrence first overall.
Yep.
They can go any number of directions here. I feel like I've given them a very wide range of things in my mock drafts this year. Maybe like a safety at times.
Yeah.
Edge guy at times. With Cam Robinson playing on the franchise tag this year. He's on the franchise, isn't he? I believe that's what happened.
Yeah, he's on the franchise tag.
I could see them taking a left tackle, trying to shore up that position.
Right.
Excuse me.
You're not excused.
Man, thanks. My voice cracked a little bit there, so just going through something right now.
No, you just got to power through it.
Need some honey.
It's just that's it. What did you?
I don't know. Help me out here. What do you think?
You just left mid mock to just like go grab some tea really quick. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Go brew it up.
So
yes,
I mean,
Morig. I don't know how do you say that last name. By the way,
Marig. It's so weird.
I've had him there before,
dude.
Yeah.
I did a whole podcast one time and I talked about how much I really like Trayvon Morig. And then at the end, somebody was like, hey man, that's not how you say his name. And I was like, well, I'm going to go home now. So thanks everybody for listening. Marig. Yeah.
Like Garrig.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. There you go. So okay. I think Merrick would be a good pick for them because he gives them that single high ability. They played more. Now, of course, it was the old regime, but they played cover one more than any team in the NFL last year. And so Merrick gives you that ability to play that single high. They went out and they got Shaq Griffin. They brought back Sidney Jones. They signed Rayshawn Jenkins as well at safety, so it's not like they have to go there. Right. I would probably tell you that Trayvon Merrick is a great pick. Christian Barmore could be a really good pick because they do need interior defensive line pass rushes, especially. Or I'd tell you Pat Freiermuth too, just because Urban Meyer will not shut up about them. and we love him for it. I don't mean that to say that in a slight to Urban Meyer because I love when head coaches are transparent. But like he's like, we need an F tight end. We need a receiving tight end. So I don't know if they're going to pick one at 25, if they're going to wait till 33 or wherever they pick at the top of the second round. But those are probably the three: Barmore, Freiermuth, Merrick. Those are the guys I'd look at.
Yeah. So I really like the Freiermuth one, but I'm going to go with Merrick here because I think just like his versatility, ball skills, kind of just the instincts overall, versatile guy. I like that. Whoever shouted that out in the chat, I'm giving you credit for this one because he's a guy that I've had on my radar for them. I think I gave the Jags that guy in one of my last mocks. So it just makes a lot of sense.
He's good. And I think that he would, I know that they signed a couple of safeties in free agency, but I think that Merrick's an actual difference maker for him. Cleveland Browns 26 could also go with Christian Barmore if they wanted. Could maybe go wide receiver. Who's the edge rushers left? Why did we take all the edge rushers? Why are we making
Rousseau? If I'm looking at my board, I got Gregory Rousseau, Carlos Basham, Boogie Basham,
Boogie,
Joe Tryon. I don't know if he's a first rounder, but he tested really well. He's got great length.
Yeah. Who do we have at corner? Is Greg Newsome still here? Okay, Greg Newsome is still there. Because Greedy Williams is on the other side, but like I don't know how much I believe in Greedy Williams. I'm not gonna lie to you, folks. I'm not gonna lie to you, good people.
I appreciate you not lying.
I would love.
Wish you weren't such a liar.
Yeah. That's the number one complaint that I have every time I have a review at the office. Just wish you wouldn't lie as much. I'm gonna go with Greg Newsome. He's too good. He's too solid. You get him on one side, you get Denzel Ward on the other. Now you're cooking. I mean, you especially throw in the safeties that they've got. They've got John Johnson III. They have Grant Delpit. They've got Ronnie Harrison. That is a supreme secondary group if you get those guys there. So I'll go Greg Newsome.
I like it. So we got the Ravens. Get the Ravens coming up here.
Oh man, now you could have picked Trayvon Merrick. You really threw yourself under the bus there.
I could do a lot of different things here.
This is true. Yeah.
For some reason, so I've seen Terrace Marshall from LSU linked to the Ravens a lot lately
for him. Yeah.
And I like it. And so I'm going to go Marshall here. I mean, obviously he's a borderline first rounder for me, like late first, early second, maybe. But testing as well as he did, I think he outstanding athleticism. I saw his RAS or RAS score was like through the roof.
Right.
So I think this is a good fit for them in terms of what they need.
Yeah.
He can play inside. He can play he can play outside. Excuse me. Got a frog in my throat. He can play on, inside, outside. He's a deep threat. He's good in the red zone.
Yeah.
So, I think he's a good fit and would complement Marquise Brown. And they just need to get some playmakers, I think.
I agree.
In that offense. And so I like this.
I'm totally with you. And I think that this makes sense if they want to keep the same mold that they have. Like some other people have them going like Elijah Moore or Rondale Moore or like Kadarius Toney because they want more of the underneath players to complement, but that's not what the Ravens have done with their receivers. So like if they want to just upgrade the kind of mold that they already have, Terrence Marshall, I think that makes a lot of sense. So we're 28 here with the Saints. Ooh. Caleb Farley is still here.
I know this is the surprise. I think. Well, obviously his back surgery thing is a big question mark, but
I don't know what the future holds for Caleb Farley. You never like when a guy has 2 back surgeries before he enters the league. He also has the torn ACL in the non-contact back in 2017. But it's the Saints. They take risks. Getting Caleb Farley on one side, Marshawn Lattimore on the other. I mean, that's absolutely terrifying. So Farley would be a top 10 player for me in this class without the injury concerns.
Yeah.
So if he makes it to 28 and a team like the Saints gets to pick him up, there you go. Let's go with Caleb Farley at 28.
Boom. Love it. This leaves me at the Bills, who I think are another one of those teams. That
no, you're with the Packers. You're the Packers.
Oh, I misread it. My bad.
I mean, you can pick for the Bills if you want. I could pick for the Packers. You want to switch? We want to switch? You were in the zone.
We're good.
All right.
We're all right. The Packers. Oh, speaking of Elijah Moore, for whatever reason, I've been loving the Elijah Moore fit for the Packers. Mm-hmm. He's another guy who tested extremely well. Yes. Probably a 4.39 guy. I don't know. It was like 4.3 something. Like everybody else.
I'm going to start saying that. I'm just going to be
everybody run 4.39.
No, I'm just going to say like he was probably a 4.39 guy. And like, I'm just going to confidently say that every time I bring up a prospect.
So I think so. Basically, it's been a lot of times. It's been Kadarius Toney, Rondale Moore. Mm-hmm. I could see it. I could honestly see it being Toney because I think the NFL is going to be really excited about him, and he tested extremely well. Also,
he did. Yeah,
but I actually think that Elijah Moore is a better player.
I think that he's also a better fit.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be where he needs to be when he needs to be there. I think with Aaron Rodgers, that's going to be like they're going to be able to get on the same page more quickly. Mm-hmm. And he can do the same stuff. Like really, if they want to run him out of the backfield, like turn him into the next Randall Cobb, like he can still do that stuff. I saw him doing that at Ole Miss.
Yep.
And so I really like this. I don't know for sure. I have a sneaking feeling that he might fall into the second round, but I've also seen him mocked in first rounds. I think McShay had him in a couple first round mocks earlier in the process. So there's certainly some smoke out there that he could be a first round pick, and I think he'd be a perfect fit for the Packers.
I feel like he is going to be the Clyde Edwards-Helaire of this draft. And when I say that, I mean, we look at a really good wide receiver group this year, and we looked at a really good running back group last year. But whether you asked people, like whoever their RB1 was, like a lot of people said, oh, Jonathan Taylor or DeAndre Swift or J.K. Dobbins or whatever, everyone said to you, but man, I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Everyone, wherever
he's just good. Yeah.
Right. On their rankings. And the NFL ended up going, wait a second. If everybody just likes Clyde Edwards-Helaire and they're just kind of like scared to put him as their RB1, which I mean, some people put him as their RB1 anyways, the Chiefs were just like, why don't we just pick the dude that we like the most? And they were like, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. So I feel like that might be the case with Elijah Moore. You might hear him as wide receiver 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever it is in a lot of different rankings. Right. And we might get to the end of the first round and the team just goes, yeah, we actually like him the best. So whatever, that's fine. We're just going to pick him ahead of some of these other guys that you might think he goes ahead of. So yeah, I mean, I think that's totally possible there. All right. Elijah Moore at 29 puts me on the board at 30. Eric Stokes is still here. This feels like an easy one. If an edge rusher would have made it down to the Bills, I probably would have went that direction. But since they didn't, give me Eric Stokes to play opposite Trey White. They need that CB2. I think that that's the correct pick for them to make with the board the way it is. Linebacker's kind of tempting, but not nearly tempting enough for me to leave Eric Stokes for somebody else to get.
Yeah, I like that one. He tested out of the at the stratosphere. Right?
I watched him with my own 2 eyes. I was down in Miami for that HOA combine, and I know that was that HOA combine happened before a lot of the pro day stuff happened. And so it was even before everybody was skeptical of the times, and Eric Stokes ran that 4.24. And we were all like, do we even report this? Because nobody's going to believe us.
Believe it.
And he ended up running another 4.24 at his pro day. So, I mean, like the dude is just fast.
Yeah. Explosive. I like that one. Actually, I remember in one mock, I gave them Tyson Campbell before, because both of the Georgia corners are very long, explosive, fast guys. But I think I like Stokes a little bit more too. For this pick. That leaves me with the Chiefs.
Yes, your final
selection. Be an interesting one. So, obviously they cut both of their tackles. Mm-hmm. I think that's got to be a huge priority for them. And
bold move.
I don't know who I like the most here. I wish that you hadn't picked Eichenberg.
I'm sure you don't, because he's the absolute best case scenario, I think, for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Really, Cosme and Radens.
Yeah.
It's kind of just a flip of the coin, whoever you want to go with. I think Cosme's a little bit more athletic. I have some balance and like center of gravity concerns with him because he plays on his toes a lot. And Radens, obviously, you have the competition jump. So do you want him playing on the outside year one? It really just depends. I mean, Radens and Cosme are I think, both good prospects for them. It's kind of
what do you think of throwing a curveball here? What about Alex Leatherwood from Alabama? Do you think he is a tackle at the next level?
I think Leatherwood's tape is really weird to me because I think he's built like a tackle and I think he's best as a guard. Yeah. So it's like, I don't really know what to do with him, because if I just say, oh, he's a guard, I mean, he's got to add a lot of weight, I think, especially like in the lower half to play guard. Like, you just have to. You get in phone booth fights all the time. You just got to have more weight on you to anchor. And so like his body right now is built as a tackle. And I mean, it's good. He should try out a tackle. They make more money. But I think that his best skills come when he's kind of able to get hands on guys really quickly and play in a phone booth. And so I like him as a athletic upside kind of a tackle that you can pull all over the place, that you can move. And so I like him best at guard. I just don't. I'm kind of like worried about his body type there. But he's versatile, so he could be a versatile piece for the Chiefs.
That's true, but they have multiple guards now. They have like 5 guards.
They do. Yeah, they have the most expensive guard in football, actually, with Joe Thuney.
So I guess I'll go with Cosme here. This is a tough one because I feel like this is a little bit, in my mind, this is a little bit of a reach, but I think that they do need tackles so much, and they don't want to mess around with this. I mean, we saw what happened in the Super Bowl. So going with the tackle, just a good smart move to boost their offensive line and let Mahomes do his thing back there.
Yeah, okay. So Jason Stokes, we're at the final pick. We're at the Buccaneers at 32. I'm not sure if everybody out there knows this, but the team that picks 32 is the team that won the Super Bowl the past season, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl last season, just so everybody knows. Jason wanted me to make a little splash here, and that's what I'm absolutely doing. It's reported that Antonio Brown wants a little bit too much money, so that he might not be coming back to Tampa Bay. We're going with Rondale Moore. I'm getting Rondale Moore to put in that offense. Word. He can play in the slot. You can rotate him out with Scotty Miller to play in that role. You can use him in the backfield if you want some action with him standing next to Tom Brady. You could do that. I mean, this would be so much fun. I mean, this is a Madden pick if I've ever seen one. I don't know if they're going to go with this, but because of the news that Antonio Brown might not be coming back, we're going with Rondale Moore.
I'm into it. So what if he was, I think I saw someone on Twitter talking about this. What if he was like a souped up version of James White for Brady?
Rondale Moore can almost be like anything you want him to be as either a slot or a backfield player. I mean, he's built so compactly. His movements are so precise. He bounces off tackles so well. You don't want him goal line carries or like short yards carries like as a running back or anything. But when you get in those situations, that was the big problem of what people are pointing to with the Bucs running back room is Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones kind of like got it done for them. But I mean, if you watch any of the playoff games, even the pass catching just wasn't there for him. So you get Rondale Moore and you get that versatility in there. It's called best player available. That's what the Bucs are doing here. Zach, you can scroll the first round a little bit so everybody still sees it. That was a lot of fun. I think that we did well predicting some picks and also putting our flavor into some. I did what I said I was going to do, and I found a really good spot for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, even though Kyle did not believe in me. Philadelphia Eagles. I'm looking at the chat now. Eagles fans did get Devontae Smith, which, man, if you really think about it, Eagles got an extra first round pick and Devontae Smith. Yeah. I mean,
that's nice.
That would be a home run. So
that's like Howie getting back on the good side.
I mean, it really is. Bengals, somebody said need to go Penei Sewell. Look, we'll get it. We'll get into that. We'll get into that in a much deeper debate at a different level. So, Danny, this is a lot of fun, man. Yeah, this is a blast. Great. I appreciate you popping on with me. These first round mock drafts are always a lot of fun. I've been reading a lot of the things that you guys have been putting out. You got an awesome looking draft guide. If everybody has not seen that, you've got to go check out everything that Danny is doing over at The Ringer. He'll help you get as informed as possible, whether you're following the NFL draft for just enjoyment from league wide, whether you like the scouting process or whether you're following it for a singular team. It is must read stuff before we get to the end of April. So Danny, was there a pick that you actually like loved doing? Was there like a matchup that you were just like, yeah, I loved it? I mean, like the Chase one, you sounded pretty excited about.
Oh, I think that one's definitely stuck out to me, even though it might not be the most likely thing to happen. I don't know. It's so tough to know at this point, but
Bengals fans are pretty into it. So
that one felt good. I'm going to say the Rashawn Slater one to the Chargers just feels perfect to me.
Yeah, totally. I'm with you.
And then I guess maybe the Jason Oweh one to the Colts is like a little bit of the off the wall one, but yeah.
That was your off the wall one, which I'm glad we got to get one of those in the draft. My favorite one that I got to select tonight was absolutely J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn getting to go.
Oh yeah, that was perfect.
Arizona Cardinals. I feel like that was a perfect one. Danny, appreciate it, man. Everybody out there, if you're not following Danny's work, please do so over at The Ringer and then on his personal Twitter as well. We'll be talking to you soon. And we have another episode of the TDN Live Mock Draft Series coming up on Sunday. Ben and I'm just letting you guys know now, Ben Solak and I are going to be doing a brand new mock draft format. It's not going to be a full first round. It's going to be a format that we have never done before. You guys are not going to want to miss it. We'll see you then.